Hey there, this is Kevin Kaplan again from the Infant and Early Childhood Mental Health Team at the Children's Resource Center in Bowling Green, Ohio. And I am bringing to you another recorded version of a parent chat that we did live. And the topic is, what is mindfulness? It's a brief introduction to mindfulness for parents. And we're recording this as another way to support parents and caregivers during this challenging time for those who couldn't attend the live session. And so, mindfulness is not a place that you can travel to. You can't fly there, you can't drive there. While it would be nice if you could just get in the car and go to mindfulness, it is a journey that you take over time in your mind and a practice that you use. So, why mindfulness? Well, more recent research over the last couple decades has shown us that mindfulness has tremendous health benefits, and practicing it daily as much as possible can reduce stress and anxiety. It can also improve that connection between your mental and physical health. And so they have seen improvements in health all around just from practicing mindfulness regularly. And this health, this improvement as a parent can flow out and kind of travel to your kiddo, to your child. In the same way that children are co regulators, that they rely on us often to be regulated. If we're dysregulated, if we're upset, if we're screaming and yelling, chances are they're going to be escalated as well. And so, if we think of co regulation and how that kind of transfers over to children, if we're practicing mindfulness and that's reducing our stress and improving our health overall, by doing so, we're going to improve the health of the children that we care for. And so, with mindfulness, we can reduce stress. By practicing things mindfully, we're modeling to kiddos a effective and a way to handle situations that is more appropriate and what may appear to some as more controlled, because when we're acting in a mindful way, we are present and in the moment, and we are thinking about this, what is happening right now, and we're not thinking about what's going to happen tomorrow or what was going to happen yesterday. We're thinking about this moment. And so by doing that, we can appear to be more confident and more like we thought through maybe more what we're going to do. And we can respond using the higher centers of our brain, because when we're bogged down with worry and rumination and concerns about the future and the past, or about social media or whatever else is going on in our world, it's harder for us to focus. It takes our brain power away, and mindfulness can give us that brain power back. So it's important, though, that you remember that perfection is not what we're talking about. It's very important that you accept your thoughts and feelings, you notice them without judgment. So if you responded to your child in a way that maybe you regretted, or maybe you yelled when you didn't mean to, or said something or did something you didn't mean to, or yelled at them when they were having another tantrum, and maybe you feel bad about that, it's important that you don't pass judgment on yourself about that. That doesn't make you a bad parent. You did what you did in that moment, maybe because you had a lot of other things on your mind. Maybe you just got off a phone call with another family member and they said something to you that upset you, and you didn't intentionally mean to yell at your child or whatever it may be. So accept those things, don't pass judgment. And this applies also to your kiddo. So don't pass judgment on necessarily on the things that they do, because we want to remember that children are still developing. Children are at different stages of development. No matter what age group they fall in, they may have milestones to meet But not all children meet those milestones at the same time, and that's okay. It's important that just because a toddler isn't sharing yet, we don't pass judgment on them for that because maybe they just haven't built that skill yet. And that's a common skill that toddlers don't have. So don't be surprised. It might be something that you look into a little bit further if you feel like that's an area of understanding that you need more of, but not passing judgment on your kiddos, just remembering that they're still growing and they're still learning. And this allows you to take the perspective of, I'm there for you, to be empathetic, to show empathy. And we want children to have empathy. And so the best way that children learn is through modeling. And so by modeling empathy for them, they will pick that up in ways that, you know, 1,000 words couldn't do. So modeling is a great way to help them understand and learn empathy over time. By you practicing that, they will pick up on that. And this can allow you to keep your compassion when you're providing that kind parent support and responding to them with kindness. Because often when we are stressed or overwhelmed, it can be really difficult to have that compassion and respond with that kindness. So keep that in mind. Mindful parenting as a practice can look like calming yourself first before you respond or intervene or put yourself into a situation. Always calm yourself first. Unless there is an immediate emergency or safety concern that you need to get into it and stop whatever's happening, call the police or EMS or whatever, focus on calming yourself, maybe taking a few deep breaths. Notice without judgment what's going on in the environment, what your child is doing, maybe noticing what your thoughts are and feelings are, but not responding necessarily to them. So yes, I feel maybe that my toddler's getting into something and I want to stop them. Okay, I noticed that thought, I want to stop them, and but not acting on it, because the important part is that we practice that, taking that moment to notice that. And then as we move forward, we approach the situation with curiosity. And so, because we may have thought to ourselves that they're getting into something and we've already told them before, that might lead us to feeling frustrated that I've told you this before. And so that can build up to us responding in an emotional way from our emotional brain and saying things we don't mean or doing things we don't mean to do. So by noticing those thoughts coming into your mind and not acting on them, it can give you pause to then respond in a more appropriate way, approaching them with curiosity. And again, remembering that they're still developing and still learning. It's difficult to be a little person. So when you approach with curiosity, you're just noticing what they're doing. You're kind of following their lead, like watching what they're doing, watching their cues. What's their facial expression? What's their intention? What do you think they're trying to achieve? What do you think they're trying to gain or avoid? And see what that information does for you. Where does it lead you? What decisions can you make based off of that? But don't act right away. Take that information and continue absorbing it to see where it leads you. And then, when it's appropriate, respond with kindness. And by kindness, I just mean that we're remembering they're human beings too. They have feelings too. And contrary to how things may have been years ago when we wanted children to maybe fear us, the research today shows that when children are afraid of us, that they're going into a lower state of their mind, and that part of their brain is not able to learn, it's not able to feel safe, and it's not able to grow in the same way as a brain that feels safe. So Responding with that kindness, it not only keeps you from saying things maybe that you don't mean, but it also reassures them that they're safe. Other things you can do mindfully might be reading. When we read, sometimes we find our mind drifting off, and so maybe rubbing the page of the paper, rubbing the texture of the paper to bring you back to the moment, maybe noticing a smell, or maybe just recognizing, oh, I've drifted off again, and coming back to the page. So maybe you set a timer, or maybe you focus in on reading for just a few minutes. Writing would be the same way. Maybe you could write about thoughts or feelings that you've had, write for a few minutes, just kind of let it flow out. You can keep it or you can throw it away for privacy. Mindful listening is a challenging activity, but it can be done. And the challenge comes because we have the ability to listen twice as fast as we do to speak. And so when we're listening to people, we will often answer for them, or finish their sentence, or drift off and think about what we're going to say next. So you might touch the texture of your pants, or touch the texture of your shirt, or smell something, or find some way to bring yourself back to the moment. That leads me into sensory experiences, and how sensory experiences can really help us focus in on the moment by touching something, smelling something, listening or hearing something, maybe tasting something, and maybe seeing something. Sometimes a there's guided imagery and other picture activities you can do where you kind of immerse yourself in the picture and imagine yourself in that place. You might also think about incorporating a quiet time in your daily routine with your kiddo. That might look like some form of stretching. And it could also look like reading a mindful book. And I have a short list to share with you. You could also look at movement, like some sort of stretching, or some sort of yoga, or some progressive muscle relaxation, which is like tensing and relaxing different muscle groups. Resources that I wanted to share with you was that 0 to 3 has great information about parents for mindfulness. Stop, Breathe, Think, Insight Timer, and Smiling Mind are 3 different apps that you could look into that have different information to share and different ways to support you with mindfulness. It's helpful to use a timer with mindfulness because it can allow us to let go of everything else and not worry about how long we're doing it. We can set a timer for how much time we have, and that will bring us back when the timer's up. There are radio shows, podcasts, books, and audiobooks that you could look and explore at your local library or on your smartphone, and YouTube videos. And then locally, there's a Toledo Mindfulness Institute, which offers paid for classes if you're interested in something like that, more official. These are the kid books, and you can get that list on pocketmindfulness.com. And complimentary videos that we have already on YouTube that can help support you and your kiddo in practicing mindfulness activities are creating a calm down spot at home, the secret to helping your child calm down, making a calming bottle, deep breathing, and sensory play. For more YouTube videos, check out our YouTube page and find us on Facebook at the CRC Infant and Early Childhood Connection. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.